said specifically what it was. What was this manna from heaven? When I asked that question, I had no idea how much my life was about to change. The first miracle that Jesus was reported to have done was turning water into wine at a wedding. The story goes that they ran out of wine, and Jesus put a portion of the manna into the water that they boiled as tea. He told the waiters to pass it out as wine. So I call up Deepak, and I said, Deepak, I gotta talk to you. I go, I just found some stuff in the Bible that's not making any sense. I think I found some psychedelics in there. I think there's meditation. Like, what do you think? And he's quiet on the phone. And I was like, Deepak, are you there? And he said, yeah. He said, where'd you find this exactly? Like, send me what you're talking to me about. What do you want to do, Deepak? What should we do about this? You want to write something up? And Deepak was like, this is too important. He's like, why don't we have a conversation about this? Could part of the religious experience have to do with plant sacraments? In Deepak's tradition, the mystery plant soma was used to bring people to communion with God.
Could have been that the hymns of the Rig Veda were actually sung to this plant which had no seeds, that had no flowers, that was really mushrooms.
There's a scene in the movie Noah, starring Russell Crowe, where he has a dream that he's underwater with animals floating past. He wakes up knowing that God wants him to do something, but he doesn't know what. He goes and sits with the wise man in the cave, played by Anthony Hopkins, who gives him some psychedelic tea. He drinks it and has a detailed vision of exactly what God wants him to do.
First of all, that's a possibility.
Yes.
Secondly, why does our brain have receptors to these things? Well, because we are part of the same nature. You know, we're not separate from nature. Science is based on a subject-object split, on a separation that is artificial. Me and the universe, when in fact I'm also part of the universe. So the same electrical storms that create thunder and lightning in the sky create synaptic firings in my brain, which creates thought. Mm-hmm. We are part of a wholeness. And what the religious experience is to experience that wholeness. What is enlightenment but being one with the source? So whilst they gave people what I wouldn't even call altered state of consciousness, I wouldn't call them hallucinations. They help people break out of the everyday hallucination of separation and to the reality of truth. And whether they did it through wine or manna or soma, who cares?
It doesn't even make any sense. How could these ancient plants that connect you to God be somehow taken out? Could these plants be the ancient wisdom that we need for our modern problems?
What we call today everyday reality, which we take for normal, okay? Mm-hmm. There's war, there's terrorism, there's global warming, there's social injustice. 50% of the world lives on less than $2 a day. The environment is totally screwed up. And we say this is normal. Yeah. It's psychotic, right? And it's psychotic because we have created it.
What do you think it would take to break through that boundary at this point? I mean, here we are in this 21st century.
Let's have a party.
We'll bring everybody down at Haru and enlighten them.
Yeah, and put some in the pot and let's make it.
Amen.
Amen.
Did Deepak Chopra just tell me to go down to Peru and drink ayahuasca tea, one of the most powerful psychedelics known to man? Still dazed by what Deepak had recommended, I bumped into our friend Jerry, who had generously loaned us his beach house for the interview. I was curious what he thought about what Deepak said. I didn't realize at the time, but Jerry's world was spinning out of control. Despite having sold his company for almost $100 million, Jerry was abusing drugs, drinking a lot of alcohol, his family was in shambles, and he was basically trying to kill himself slowly. More than I realized, Deepak's words were really sinking in. At this point, you might be wondering who this Zappy guy is. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'd done everything society told me to do. Go to school, get a job, make a bunch of money, fall in love, start a family. I was living the American dream. I bought beer.com for $80,000. A few months later, I sold it for $7 million. Here I am starring in my own Super Bowl ad. Life was becoming very surreal. Even though I had it all, my conversation with Deepak made it clear that there were other experiences that I needed to have. The value that I placed on the experience is more important to me. So I always felt like I'd rather have a passport full of stamps than a house of a certain type. It occurred to me that, like most people, I'd been searching for happiness outside of myself, and I was having the realization that I might never be truly happy unless I went inside my own mind to look for some answers. Albert Einstein famously said, "You can't fix a problem with the same consciousness or thinking that got you into the situation." What this meant to me was that if I wanted to solve a problem in my life, or if we as a society wanted to solve some of the big problems we have, like violence, eco-destruction, addiction, depression, we needed to change our collective consciousness. Could society use some of these ancient techniques for its modern problems? I was inspired by people who came before me that seemingly had it all, but chose to take the risk of going inside their own minds. These people were what I would call psychonauts, sailors of the mind. And I saw that these people were going inside their minds and exploring inside their minds as part of what they wound up doing. And I thought, wow, I have to do that. I figured before I got too extreme and sat with a shaman, I should go out and talk to some of Deepak's friends about our so-called reality.
If you only identify with the realm of three dimensions, if you only identify with the realm of the body, if you only identify with the mortal circumstance and the mortal experience, then to that extent you are at the effect of those circumstances. Faith is standing on the conviction, standing on the knowledge and the conviction. There's something way bigger going on here.
What we see is only a small portion of the total reality. See, we have three states: waking, dreaming, and sleeping. But beyond that, there is a state where it's neither of these three, but there is a restful alertness that dawns deep within.
There's nowhere where we escape from being energy, so we're always energy. What we see as it looks physical material is actually the reflection of light, photons of light that hit our energy and bounce back. So we're reflecting light, but we're reflecting it as a force field, a tornado of energy.
If we can stand within the unreal world, the ultimate unreal, that appears real, that seems limited by the laws of time and space, and yet have faith in the realm beyond, that literally invokes that realm into being.
It seemed like what everyone was saying is reality's just a concept. I needed to have the direct experience of going inside. Could ancient wisdom have included plants and meditation? I was excited to learn that a lot of celebrities, people like Jerry Seinfeld, Martin Scorsese, were doing this meditation for a long time. And recently, people like Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Oz and Katy Perry had taken up the meditation, and it seemed to be making them even more creative. I wanted to see if some of this ancient wisdom could help me to tap into my creativity. In the 1960s, a funny little man named Maharishi came out of the to the United States, and he wound up teaching his transcendental meditation technique to the Beatles. Today, there's nearly 7 million people worldwide doing transcendental meditation. What I like about the TM technique is that there's no dogma attached to it. It's really just a simple technique of silently repeating a mantra to yourself, which causes you to transcend into your quieted mind, to subtler and subtler states of consciousness, until a point that you reach a place called universal consciousness, an endless field of energy that connects all of us, where all knowledge is contained and where everything is manifested from. When the Maharishi passed away in 2007, he put John Hagelin in charge. As a quantum physicist and a meditator, he had successfully used quantum theory to support Maharishi's model of creative intelligence being at the center of all creation.
Waking consciousness is all about being aware of something, this, that, this concept, that person. Transcending is leaving all